This page is the cover of issue 60 of the Nintendo magazine, from September 1997, can you believe it? Right in your face it's screaming about Extreme G, Speed Demons and all that, claiming it's the fastest game on Earth. Bit much, but yeah, Extreme G was pretty rapid back in the day, futuristic bikes and all that jazz. Right. They're giving away a free Doom 64 tips book, which is a nice touch. Doom 64? Proper dark and moody shooter on the N64, good stuff. Looks like there's a complete survival guide for something, probably Doom 64 again. Torrete. Down the bottom they're teasing other games inside, mentioning Dark Rift, San Francisco Rush, Bomberman 64 and Quest 64. A decent mix. Rush was always fun for a quick blast, and Bomberman 64, classic multiplayer madness. Oh, and they've got Castlevania 64, and Game Boy Donkey Kong Land 3 in there too, covering all bases then, eh? Looks like they're also doing a vote and gloat thing for the Golden Joystick Awards, and a feature on Mace, with 3 pages of awesome N64 shots. All in all, looks like a packed issue, proper late 90s Nintendo goodness. This page is just a big advert for Mario Kart 64. Keep road rage off the streets, they've gone with. Pretty bold claim for a cartoon kart racer, eh? We've got Princess Peach and Wario looking like they're causing trouble, which is about right for Mario Kart. Most competitive, addictive, wide-open racing action ever. Bit strong, but it was a blast back in the day, no doubt. Proper 4-player madness that was. Needed a memory pack to save your times and stuff, of course. N64 only, as if there was any doubt. Console price £149.99 and the game pack at £59.99 RRP. Right then, pricey stuff back then, but worth it for the hours of multiplayer fun, I suppose. Issue 60 of the magazine, dated September 1997, features a wide array of content. The news section, page 4, covers games like Weetrix, Earthworm Jim 3D, Hybrid Heaven, and sports titles such as J-League 1197. N64 Plays, page 68, highlights Multi-Racing Championship and Dark Rift, while Reviews, page 38, features Doom 64, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, and NBA Hangtime. Previews, page 78, includes WCW vs NWO and Donkey Kong Land 3 Game Boy. N64 Sites, page 28, covers Extreme G, Mace, The Dark Age, and others. Tips Center, page 43, offers advice on games like Cosmic's Code Quest. Regular sections include The Big Blag, Club Mario, and Next Month, page 26. The issue also includes a competition to win an N64 and other prizes. Official Nintendo Magazine, issue 60, previews Ocean Software's upcoming N64 titles. The magazine's editor, Simon Clays, is enthusiastic about Ocean's plans, revealed at a conference. 2 games are highlighted: Weetrix, a puzzle game involving landscape creation, water, and fireballs, and UEFA Football, a licensed football game. UEFA Football boasts 17 stadiums, 48 European teams, and features like motion capture, and the involvement of Alan Hansen for realism. Screenshots show polygonal graphics typical of the N64 era. Ocean is also working on ports of their arcade classics Joust and Space Circus. Clays suggests Ocean has ambitious plans for the N64, promising an exciting future for the system. This article reminisces about classic N64 era gaming. It highlights Earthworm Jim 3D, developed by VIS Interactive, promising surreal levels, and a 3D adaptation of the original game's cartoon style. Sales charts reveal Star Fox 64 outselling Mario Kart 64 in America, though it's renamed Lylat Wars in the UK. Rumors swirl about the 64DD, with potential Donkey Kong and Mario titles planned, possibly including a 2-player Super Mario 64DD mode featuring Luigi. The article concludes with a fun quiz testing Nintendo knowledge. Warrington. This page is all about a new game coming to the N64 called Hybrid Heaven. Blimey, remember that one? Konami were on it back then, weren't they? This is billed as a 3D adventure, and they're really pushing the comparisons to Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Zelda, and even a bit of Mario 64 chucked in for good measure. Sounds like they were trying to tick all the boxes. And no, apparently you're thrown into this futuristic world with evil guards and traps, and it's mostly about exploring, but there's gunfights and hand-to-hand scraps too. They reckon it's got a bit of a Mission Impossible movie vibe, with scenes where you're sneaking past lasers and all that. There are some screenshots showing the hero leaping chasms, crawling under lasers, and getting into a right old punch-up with some purple blobby fella, a Porky Guard they call him. There's also a bit where you're trapped in a metal pipe and have to use a box to distract a guard. Sounds a bit convoluted if you ask me. They're really keen to show off the martial arts combat, saying you can kick, punch and batter your opponents. It's got a tagline too. In heaven, everything is fine. Bit ominous that. Definitely looks like they were trying to cram a lot into one game, see if it lives up to all those comparisons. TBA for release date though, typical. Nintendo's president, Yamauchi, may retire before 2000, marking the end of an era. He transformed Nintendo from a playing card company into a gaming giant, securing a deal with Disney and hiring Shigeru Miyamoto. Tissia. The article also features new screenshots of Hybrid Heaven, a game attempting to blend Tomb Raider and Zelda. The showcased gameplay includes martial arts combat and swinging across gaps. Finally, the page includes a random poem and cartoon called Lunchboxes by Purple Ronnie, celebrating the appeal of Vimto in a lunchbox. This page is diving into a couple of upcoming N64 titles. First off, there's Super Robot Spirits from Banpresto. Seems like they're going for a full-on 3D robot beat-em-up, which was all the rage back then. Release is slated for December 1997 in Japan apparently. They're really pushing the detail they're putting into these robot designs, showing off some renders and screenshots of robots duking it out, saying you can fight in the air and on the ground. 10 different mechs with unique powers. Sounds like a decent roster for a fighter. Then, flipping over to Robotech, Crystal Dreams, a 3D shoot-'em-up by Gamatech. Now Robotech, that's a name many will remember. This one's promising galactic shooting action with transforming spaceships that turn into massive robots. They mention cool cutscenes, which, back then, could be quite something on the N64. Release date still TBA, so who knows when that'll actually surface. Both games are on 64 meg carts, pretty standard size for the N64 era. They're highlighting the spaceship transforming into a robot orbiting Earth, and even pointing out a reflection in the glass, trying to impress us with the visuals. Polygons were king back then, weren't they? This page is a bit of a departure from games, looks like an advert for Barclays Bank, aimed at young'uns. They're pushing this Barclays Pluses account and trying to be all relatable with a list of 10 things you should have done before you're 16. It's all a bit tongue-in-cheek, listing things like, given up bubblegum and thrown a bucket of water over your dad's car. Bit cheeky in it? Then there's 3 things you should do now, which unsurprisingly involves opening an account to get some discount vouchers for WH Smith and the cinema. Clever marketing targeting that age group, offering a cash machine card and vouchers. It's all about getting them signed up young, I suppose. Classic bank tactics. They've even got a phone number and address to get more details, old school mail-in forms and all. Definitely feels like a time capsule piece from the late 90s. This page highlights secrets and upcoming games for the Nintendo 64. Star Fox 64 secrets include unlocking expert mode by earning medals on all levels, and finding secret warps like the one in Sector X leading to a new sub-level. The page also mentions a fun title screen trick where Fox turns his head, and the introduction of new characters. The article then shifts to Spice Games, imagining a Mario Olympics game featuring Mario characters in various Olympic events with unique abilities. Finally, it showcases first Madden 64 shots, advertising the first proper American football sim on the N64, promising features like 4-player mode, motion capture, and various stadiums. This page jumps straight into some new games on the horizon for the N64. First up is Famistar 64 from Namco. Now we all know Namco, legends really, and a baseball sim from them sounds promising. It's a 3D baseball game, and from the screenshots, it's looking very Japanese, which isn't a bad thing. Their baseball games are usually pretty solid. It's down as a 64 meg cart, same size as most of the big hitters, and releases TBA DAX as usual, so who knows when that'll actually land. Next up we've got Space Circus from Ocean, a 3D adventure. World's first space opera, they're claiming. Bit dramatic, isn't it? Screenshots are, well, colourful. Looks like a bit of a quirky platformer adventure thing. Again, 64 meg cart, TBA release. Ocean, they've had a few hits and misses, so this could be interesting. Or a bit of a stinker, you never know. TBA. Then there's a bit about Rumble Packs. Seems like now Nintendo's official Rumble Pack is out, everyone else is jumping on the bandwagon. Datel's Shockwave is mentioned, with a built-in memory card and an LED display. Fancy stuff. Mad Catz and Nyko are also in the mix with their Force Pack and Thunder Pack respectively. Looks like we'll be spoiled for choice when it comes to making our N64 controllers vibrate, just in time for Christmas apparently. Konami's Nagano Winter Olympics 98 for the N64 is a 3D sports sim featuring various winter sports, including alpine skiing, speed skating, bobsleigh, snowboarding, and curling. The game boasts smooth, fast 3D graphics, with particularly impressive snowboarding visuals. Alpine skiing is described as very fast, and the speed skating mode supports two-player head-to-head competition. In other news, Nintendo is licensing its name for PC peripherals. Paradigm, Pilotwings 64 developers, is working on a racing sim. Acclaim continues the Turok franchise, and Midway is bringing Mortal Kombat 4 and NFL Blitz to the N64. Finally, Gunpei Yokoi is developing a new portable game involving a snake. Tai. The next page is a rather striking advert for OXY Daily Wash. It's got this bloke looking really intense, like he's just come up from a deep dive, all dramatic with water splashing around his face. The text goes on about improving your chances with the opposite sex if you start using protection. Bit cheeky, that, clearly playing on the double meaning, talking about acne prevention whilst winking at other things teenagers might be thinking about. It's for a daily wash that's supposed to stop spots before they even appear. And there are pictures of these blue bottles of OXY Daily Wash, one labeled sensitive, right in line for the target audience of a Nintendo magazine back then, all about looking good and feeling confident, even if it is just pushing face wash. Not a game in sight here though, just the hard sell. The N64 news includes a preview of the Japanese football game, J-League 11-97, by Hudson, a 3D sim with comical character designs based on real players. Rumors abound. Nintendo is still deciding on the 64DD's price and potentially nixing Rumble Pack support for Zelda 64. A poll reveals that most Japanese N64 owners have few games. Nintendo plans a large Pokémon presence at the upcoming Shoshinkai trade show, reflecting the franchise's popularity. Finally, Super Mario 64. Part 2 is in development, with potential for a two-player mode featuring Mario and Luigi. Power League 64, Hudson's new 3D baseball sim for the N64, is highlighted, featuring improved player reactions and a wider range of moves. A new Happy Landings feature aims to make the game more accessible than Konami's complex baseball titles. The magazine also touches on the high price of 64DD games, Goemon 5's massive file size, and the renaming of Konami's fighting game to GASP Fighters Extreme. An N64 arcade machine called ALECK64, licensed by Nintendo and made by Seta, is discussed. It's compared to powerful arcade systems like Sega's Model 3, suggesting potential for good arcade conversions. The Japanese release schedule for August and September 97 is provided, showcasing a busy period with titles like GoldenEye 007 and Power League 64. The Japanese top 5 for July is listed, including Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, and Star Fox 64. Finally, Kyoko Hiroki is featured promoting the Rumble Pack version of Super Mario 64. The article focuses on the Game Boy version of Tamagotchi, Pet of the Month, touting improvements like simultaneous egg hatching, better sound and graphics, and minigames. Bandai, riding the Tamagotchi wave after its keyring success, is also planning a Tamagotchi for the N64, likely due to their failed Sega merger and subsequent alliance with Nintendo. They hint at Nintendo possibly handling UK distribution. Raw Nintendo. The article also includes a time capsule section, looking back at old Nintendo magazines. Issue 21 reviewed Super Bomberman 2 and other SNES games, while issue 34 covered Killer Instinct and Kirby's Dream Land 2. The articles highlight the early days of Nintendo's 32-bit plans and the upcoming N64 reveal. This page is a bit of an odd one, seems to be a full-page advert for Mars chocolate bars. It's got this little story using different fonts and pictures, saying, "I fancied Zoe, then Dan fancied Zoe, I rang her, and Dan answered." Bit of a strange love triangle thing going on, or maybe just a misunderstanding. It's all a bit whimsical with hearts and arrows, butterflies and even a devil's fork for some reason. Then at the bottom it just says, "Keep up Mars," with a picture of the chocolate bar. It's the kind of slightly daft advert you'd see in mags back then, trying to be a bit clever and memorable. Maybe the idea is you need a Mars bar to keep up with all the gaming. A bit random for a Nintendo magazine, but you did get these sorts of quirky ads back in the day. Struggle Hard on the N64 is previewed as a potential, definitive beat-em-up, a bold claim for the console. Hoping to succeed where Dark Rift disappointed, the magazine highlights unique features. Manic Management allows customizable tournament modes with point-based victories, and Size Does Matter offers variable arena sizes, even down to small stamps. Players will be able to save tournament data using the memory pack. Screenshots showcase characters like Crown, Yang and Valerie, portraying standard 3D fighting action for the N64. The graphics appear blocky compared to arcade counterparts, but the game includes characters such as Saeki and Tomahawk. The article hypes Struggle Hard, yet it's uncertain if it will live up to its ambitious billing as a top beat-em-up. This page continues the look at Struggle Hard on the N64, calling it a fighting Viper-esque cage fighter. They reckon the animation is good, and the fighters feel solid, whatever that means in the blocky world of N64 polygons, and that there are plenty of unique powers. It seems they're still trying to sell it as something special after Dark Rift's letdown, mentioning customizable tournaments and arena sizes again. Then it moves on to Castlevania 3D, which is exciting. They've got a little N64 update box with the Konami logo, saying it's a 3D adventure game, release date TBA, and a massive 64 meg cart size. They're making a big deal about getting more screenshots after showing some in the last issue. It looks like classic Castlevania action but now in 3D. The screenshots show the hero, presumably Simon Belmont or someone like that, facing off against a dragon and some sort of lizard creature. They're describing how to use a crucifix to take down a dragon, and wall kicks to outsmart a lizard. Sounds like typical Castlevania monster battling. They've even got a dramatic bloodsucker caption splashed across the page, so it's clearly aiming for that classic vampire hunting vibe. If you were a fan of the old NES and SNES Castlevania games, they reckon you'll be amazed by this on the N64. Let's hope it lives up to the hype, eh? This page is all about the Golden Joystick Awards from 1997. Big deal, right? It's got this massive, slightly gaudy looking golden joystick smack bang in the middle, like they're really pushing the joystick thing. Beneath it, in some funky blocky font, it says Golden Joystick Awards 1997, just in case you missed the giant trophy. There's some more text above it, a bit blurry, looks like some Japanese writing, and then the Designers Republic sound. Probably some design agency involved with the awards graphics or something. Very late 90s design aesthetic going on here with all the stripes and blocky fonts. Down in the corner it says Official UK Nintendo Magazine, and the page number, so we know where it's from. Oh, and there's a small picture of what looks like Mario in the bottom right, waving cheerfully. Bless him. It's a bit of a strange page visually, all very stylized with these vertical stripes in brown and yellow. Not exactly screaming Games Awards, but hey, it's a design choice, innit? This is a 1997 Golden Joystick Awards voting form from Official Nintendo Magazine, focused on Nintendo 64 games. Readers were asked to vote in categories like Best Looking Game, Super Mario 64, Pilot Wing 64, Turok, Wave Race 64, Best Sounding Game, Killer Instinct Gold, and Favorite Game Character, Mario, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Fox McCloud, Turok. The O&M Best Nintendo 64 Game category included the usual suspects like Mario Kart 64 and International Superstar Soccer 64. Most Original Game featured Blast Corps, Pilot Wing 64 and Wave Race 64. The form also included magazine-specific awards and industry categories like Best Ad and Best Development Team, Rare, NCL. The closing date was in October 1997, requiring readers to physically mail in their votes, a stark contrast to modern online voting. Konami is developing a 3D basketball sim, NBA Basketball, for the N64, promising realistic graphics and animations achieved through 3D models and motion capture. The game, expected to be released around Christmas, boasts features like detailed player animations, including hand pumping while dribbling. The reviewer is impressed with the visuals shown in a Konami showcase video, though a proper preview cartridge is needed to confirm the hype. Additionally, the article mentions the Dr. Pepper Nintendo 64 Challenge, a touring event where players can compete in Mario Kart to set a Guinness World Record. The challenge features 2 teams with various locations and dates across the UK, offering a fun experience with the added bonus of free Dr. Pepper. This mail-order ad from Excitement Direct showcases Nintendo 64 and Super NES goodies. Featured are N64 consoles and bundles, including Mario Kart 64 and International Superstar Soccer 64. Controllers, both official and third-party like the SharkPad Pro 64, are available. Numerous N64 games are listed, such as Blast Corps, Mario 64, and GoldenEye, with a focus on importing US games. Super NES and Game Boy games, including classics like Donkey Kong Country and Tetris, are also offered, alongside the new Game Boy Pocket. The ad highlights a time before online ordering, relying on paper forms, and the anticipation of delivery. This article previews upcoming N64 games. San Francisco Rush, a 3D arcade racer by Midway, is highlighted, showcasing two-player split-screen with unconventional vehicles and rooftop shortcuts. The game aims for fast-paced action, mirroring Mario Kart 64's horizontal split-screen. Next, a potential N64 revival of Paperboy is discussed, with High Voltage developing and various publishers, including Nintendo, being considered. It is speculated to be a budget title. Finally, Gex, Enter the Gecko, is set for an N64 release in early 1998, also published and developed by Midway. The N64 version is expected to feature additional levels compared to the PlayStation original. Quai. This gameplay advert showcases their Nintendo 64 offerings, emphasizing price, choice, quality, service. They offered console bundles, starting at £134.99, with games like Mario Kart 64 and ISS 64, promising free 48-hour delivery. A grid displayed UK N64 game titles with box art, featuring popular titles and some niche choices. Accessories like official Nintendo joypads, memory cards, and an arcade stick were also available. Unexpectedly, the advert includes a small section for the Sony PlayStation and steering wheels. Finally, they clear out remaining Virtual Boy stock for £39.99, with games at £12.99. The ad concludes with ordering information, accepting various payment methods via mail, reflecting a bygone era of mail-order gaming. This magazine page from 1997 is jam-packed with competitions and freebies. The Big Blag offers a Nintendo 64 console and Killer Instinct Gold, with a trivia question about the game's villainous corporation, Ultratech. Warner Video Bonanza gives away VHS tapes of several movies. The related question asks about the heroine of Dead Calm, Nicole Kidman. Evangelion Overload features anime tapes, posters, and a t-shirt, with a question about which city is often destroyed, Tokyo. Babylon Forever offers Babylon 5 RPG rulebooks, with a question about the show's species, G-Car. Finally, The Milky Bars Are On Us lists previous competition winners. To enter, send your answers on a postcard to a London address by September 30, 1997. The N64 playlist reviews several games, using a lifespan rating alongside scores. Super Mario 64 receives a 95% and 4-star lifespan, while FIFA 64 gets a 67%. Turok also scores 95%, but is noted for causing motion sickness. Killer Instinct Gold earns 84%, and Star Wars Shadows of the Empire gets 86%. Mario Kart 64 is praised with a 90% and 5-star lifespan. Pilot Wings 64 gets 84%, and MK Trilogy a low 56%. Wave Race 64 scores 92%. Blast Corps 87%, and ISS 64 earns 93% with a 5-star lifespan. The magazine also features staff movie recommendations, including 12 Angry Men and Eraserhead. There are quiz answers and explanations of the scoring system. The Office chart ranks Mario Kart 64 at number 1, followed by GoldenEye. This page is an article titled Nintendo 64 Site, and it's all about Acclaim's Extreme G. They're proper hyping it up as one of the fastest games ever for a console, talking about it taking you on a ride. Bit dramatic in it. They go on about the storyline being all futuristic, with humans having to leave Earth and set up shop in space. Apparently for entertainment they've devised this Extreme G tournament, which is virtual reality racing on desolate Earth tracks in these remote-controlled bikes. Sounds a bit far-fetched, but alright. They are really pushing the speed and challenge aspect, saying it's the greatest race of the century. The small screenshots at the bottom show in-game racing. Looks pretty fast-paced, but, graphics back then were what they were. It's trying to sell the idea of speed and futuristic racing, which was definitely a thing at the time. Everyone was chasing that next-gen feel, probably trying to compete with F-Zero X in the speed stakes, though F-Zero X was already out, and a proper beast. Still, Extreme G looks like it's trying to be a serious contender in the fast racing genre for the N64. This article discusses Acclaim's Extreme G, focusing on the Easy Riders aspect. Players race futuristic cybercycles against psychotic bikers in various worlds. 6 bikes with unique strengths and weaknesses are available. The game features fixed weapons, including the laser cannon, fair damage, fast fire rate, the pulse cannon, average damage, slow fire rate, and the Excel cannon, maximum carnage, dual ring bullets. Weapon refills are found throughout the tracks. The visuals showcase a green and yellow cyberbike, and gameplay shots of weapons in action, fitting a classic 90s aesthetic. The overall impression is of a standard, albeit hyped, futuristic racing game. Extreme G's Take Your Pick introduces players to the game's cybercycles. The article highlights 6 initial bikes: Khan, balanced, good for beginners; Raze, fast but sensitive; Grimace, strong acceleration, weak weapons; Muga, tank-like, slow turning; Raha, fast, weak weapons; and Maim, fighting-focused, poor top speed. Each bike is rated on acceleration, top speed, handling, shields, and weapons. The text also mentions 7 AI-controlled rival bikes with improved AI and missile accuracy, plus a potential to control these later on. 2-player split-screen mode is confirmed, and it's noted that the player always remains upright, even if their bike flips. The overview provides a starting point for players to choose their ride in this futuristic racer. Cheshire. This page delves further into Extreme G, and blimey, they weren't kidding about the speed, were they? The reviewer here reckons it's so fast it's almost broken the speed barrier itself. Apparently the tracks are so convoluted you'll be constantly losing your way, which, to be fair, sounds about right for an N64 racer trying to be edgy. They highlight how even crashing into the walls won't stop you dead, just slow you down a bit, which is a mercy in a game this rapid. There's a bit about the viewpoint, mentioning you can play first person, which, good luck with that, especially when they say it's so fast you might need a sick bag handy. Charming. Seng. Then there's a section about afterburners, which every player gets 3 of. These apparently double your speed, making an already fast game even more mental. They warn it makes things even harder to control, especially on bends and hills. The computer racers are also apparently keen on using these boosts to give you a hard time. And just to add a bit of classic 90s magazine weirdness, there's a poem about pop chicks next to it, by someone called Purple Ronnie. It's there. About as sophisticated as you might expect from a lad's mag poem. Anyway, back to the game. Extreme G is clearly pushing the N64 to its limits, even if it sounds like it could be a bit of a nauseating experience. This page continues the look at Extreme G, and it's diving into the tracks and power-ups this time. Right then, they're showing off 2 of the worlds here, Desert and Mine. Desert Track 1 is apparently the opener, but they say it's not exactly a walk in the park, twisting through ruins and statues. Desert Track 2 sounds a bit more intense, going into canyons and sewers, naturally. The Mine track, as you might expect, is full of machinery and a corkscrew bit, ending with a jump, because why not? Each track section has a little description, and screenshots showing off the gameplay. Looks pretty nippy, doesn't it? Then we get to the Throttle the Enemy section, about power-ups. They've got Flame Exhaust, which is a speed boost, and fries anyone tailgating you, classic. Homing Missile does what it says on the tin, locks onto racers ahead. And Invisibility, for sneaking past rivals unseen, bit sneaky that one. They also mention everyone gets 3 speed boosts per race, but reckon you should save them for the straights. Makes sense, wouldn't want to lose it all on a bend. Sounds like they are trying to add a bit of tactical racing beyond just flat out speed, which is probably a good thing in a game this fast, otherwise it'd be complete chaos, wouldn't it? Extreme G is highlighting new tracks and offensive power-ups. The desert environments include a scrapyard track with a hidden shortcut. Mine tracks introduce conveyor belts, falling rocks, and a final volcano track with few barriers. Power-ups add to the chaos: invulnerability, ion-side cannons, laser limpet mines, morning stars, and mortar rockets. The game promises more than simple racing, emphasizing player interaction and strategic use of weapons for a more dynamic experience. This issue previews tracks and power-ups in the N64 racer, Extreme G. City Track 1 offers a straightforward industrial start with bends and a loop. City Track 2 features a challenging chicane and a tight loop. Space Track 1, set in an asteroid belt, allows wall riding without speed loss. Power-ups include offensive options like needle missiles and rear-firing rockets, and defensive options like Power Shield. Phosphor Flare disorients opponents, and proximity mines create track hazards. The game emphasizes combat alongside racing. The next page dives deeper into Extreme G, showing off more of the tracks. It's good to see more of the city and space levels in Track 3 for both themes, as well as Track 2 for space. City Track 3 looks like it starts in a commercial area and then heads into a scrapyard, warning about buses blocking the road. Typical futuristic racing hazards, eh? Space Track 2, we're told, is all about a purple haze and confusing spiral sections. Sounds like they're really trying to mess with your head on that one. Space Track 3 is described as countryside meets futuristic city with flying saucers, which is a bit bonkers, but hey, it's a futuristic racer. They mention sharp bends are the only real hazard, which is probably a lie knowing these sorts of games. Then they've got a rundown of some power-ups. Shield recharge is pretty self-explanatory, keeps your bike in one piece. Standard missile, your basic front-loaded missile, nothing too fancy. Static pulse, now that's a bit more interesting, fries opponent's steering and weapons, sounds handy in a tight spot. Tractor beam yanks the nearest bike towards you, bit cheeky that one, especially on the last lap. And finally, Wally Warp, oh that's nasty, sends someone miles behind by dropping warp entrances and exits. Proper devious. All standard fare for a combat racer really, but it's all part of the fun, isn't it? Extreme G boasts diverse game modes. Single player offers tournament, progression through difficulty, practice, track learning, time trials, lap times, and shoot 'em up, drone combat. Multiplayer includes head-to-head, cup mode, 16-player races, battle track, 24-player arena combat, flag game, and a 2-player tournament. Developers Probe, known for movie tie-ins, aimed for a fast-paced racer. They prioritized gameplay over graphics and addressed the Wipeout comparison with confidence. Development was streamlined, with sacrifices made to maintain speed and utilize the N64's capabilities. The game faced memory constraints and limitations in 4-player mode, typical for the console. They ultimately felt the N64 was a better platform to develop for than the PlayStation or Saturn. This vintage advert showcases the early days of the Nintendo 64, with a few PlayStation and Saturn mentions. Skill advertises imported N64 consoles and games, claiming to be the fourth emergency service for gamers, with games starting at £49.99. Console King promotes a 64 megabit CD-ROM VCD mod chip, enabling US game playback, RGB output, and backup features for £299. Ultraplay sells US version games like Dark Rift and Mario 64, alongside adapters. Next generation consoles offers US N64s, with top titles like GoldenEye 007 and Star Fox 64, also promoting part exchange. The advert highlights the excitement and high prices associated with importing and modifying consoles during this era. This review examines Doom 64 for the Nintendo 64, questioning if the classic FPS still holds up after the genre's rapid evolution. Doom 64, announced in 1995, promised new levels. The reviewer highlights the updated 3D engine and 32 new levels, some inspired by the original but largely fresh. Changes include dynamic environments with destructible elements, more puzzles, and complex level layouts. These additions have drawn criticism from purists. The game is a single-player 3D shooter, lacking multiplayer, and will release in September. It features a 64 MB cartridge and saves, offering a reimagining of Doom for the N64, with upgrades that are divisive. Doom 64 on the N64 boasts several updates. The game features a new 30 FPS engine, rendered enemy graphics, though the archvile is absent, and a new weapon. All weapons have been re-rendered. The game is marketed as exceptionally difficult, with a Watch Me Die difficulty setting. New gameplay elements include a berserk pack, glowing locked doors for key identification, and teleporters. The developers are attempting to make the game sound like more than a straight port, aiming for a challenging experience for hardcore players. Doom 64's weapons are reviewed, starting with the weak pistol and fists, unless boosted by the berserk pack. The new laser rifle, powered by pentagrams, sounds promising. The chainsaw is back, and the minigun, using pistol ammo, isn't highly rated. The new laser rifle. The article then previews upcoming FPS games. Quake is lauded for its playability, but questioned for its single-player focus. Hexen gets mixed reviews, praising its innovative levels, but criticizing the graphics. Daikatana is considered an unknown quantity. Finally, GoldenEye is highly anticipated, particularly for its 4-player mode. The article also highlights classic Doom 64 enemies, recommending avoiding the Mancubus's rocket fire. Doom 64, a classic, receives positive reviews. The game features familiar weapons like the shotgun and rocket launcher, alongside a toned-down but powerful BFG 9000 and a new twin-bladed chainsaw. Reviewers praise the game's gloomy atmosphere, considered a highlight, with one calling it the fastest and smoothest version yet. While enemy sprites are flat, and the graphics are murky due to N64 limitations, they are not a major detractor. The game's soundtrack is noted for its dark and terrifying sounds. Bulsa. The game scores high with an 85% overall. Ratings break down as graphics, 84%, sound, 86%, playability, 83%, and lastability, 89%. Playability is slightly docked due to control differences from Turok. The review concludes that Doom 64 is a solid, challenging blaster with great longevity. This advertisement is a blast from the past, promoting Special Reserve, a mail-order game and console retailer. It heavily features Nintendo 64 products, including games like Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye 007, and Star Fox 64, with high praise. Super NES and Game Boy games are also available. Baltimore. Special Reserve pushes club memberships with freebies, and offers N64 consoles starting at £139.99, with bundled deals and 0% finance. They provide a wide array of accessories, from controllers to arcade sticks. The ad aims to be a one-stop shop for N64 needs. Finally, it announces the opening of a new store in Nottingham, offering pre-release games and competitions. This page is the Cosmic's Code Quest section, always a good read to see what cheeky tricks you could pull off in your games. This month, it's all about Shadows of the Empire, on the N64, proper Star Wars stuff. They've got a cheat to turn you into a Wampa, and another to become a stormtrooper in the Echo base level, which sounds a bit of alright for messing around. There's also a trick to control an ATST, those walking tanks, always fun stomping around in those. Warrington Nor. It's the usual name entry thing for the main cheat. You have to enter _Wampa_Stomper_ as your save name, spaces and all on medium difficulty. Bit of a faff, but worth it to become a beastly Wampa, I suppose. They're also asking readers to send in their own cheats if they've found any good ones, to that London address for Nintendo magazine. Wonder if anyone actually bothered posting them in. They still do that back in the day before the internet made all this stuff instantly available online. This page is the tip center, a staple of these mags back in the day. Always worth a look to see what cheeky shortcuts you could find. First up is NBA Hangtime, on the N64, that over-the-top basketball game with the flaming hoops and crazy dunks. They've got a whole section on secret players, and it's a proper list with passwords and pin numbers to unlock different NBA stars. You've got names like Ewing, Gill, Glencora, Jamie, Jappel, Jason, and loads more. It's a fair few names, to be honest. Must be loads of hidden players in that game then. Fair too. Then there's FIFA 64, and the tip here is about switch teams. Basically saying if you're getting hammered, just switch to the other team in the controller select screen. A bit of a cop-out really, but hey, maybe some folks needed the help. Saves your mates getting one over on you, I suppose. Lastly, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and they're showing off a reverse babality. Of course it's Mortal Kombat, so it's all about the gore and silly fatalities. Apparently, if you perform a babality, then quickly hold down all the punch and kick buttons, your opponent will instantly revert back to normal size in a bloody explosion. Sounds a bit bonkers and very Mortal Kombat, right? Good for winding up your mates, no doubt. That's your lot for tips this month. A bit of everything really, to keep you going on the N64. This page provides game tips and cheats. For Doom 64, N64, it lists level passwords and a super password for full power, though it's suggested that using the super password is akin to skipping the final boss altogether. Next it covers Mario Kart 64, detailing how to unlock ghost races of Mario, Luigi and Peach in time trials by beating specific track times. Finally, a Super Nintendo cheat for International Superstar Soccer Deluxe is shared, a button sequence to turn the referee into a dog. This page in the magazine is packed with tips for fighting games. Classic stuff really. First up, they've got the full list of brutality moves for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super NES. Remember those? Pretty gruesome for the time. It's a long list, character by character, detailing all the button combinations you needed to mash to pull them off. Then for those with a Game Boy, they've got danger moves for Killer Instinct, and finishing moves for Mortal Kombat. So whether you were playing at home or on the go, they had you sorted for those vital finishing moves. You've got a few screenshots from the games to jog your memory, and of course pictures of the Nintendo hotliners themselves, Mike, Donna, James and Paul. These were the helpful folks you could ring if you were truly stuck on a game, back before the internet had all the answers. And there's the phone number for the Nintendo hotline if you still needed help. This issue's Nintendo Hot Help provides solutions for various game struggles. Secret of Mana players get vague hints for item locations. Zelda, Link's Awakening players receive help with the Walrus puzzle and finding a hidden key in Bottle Grotto. Donkey Kong Land, Sunset Riders, and Super Mario Land 2 queries also get answers. Super Mario 64 players learn how to reach the pink bow bomb, including a shortcut. Lastly, Earthworm Jim 2 cheat codes for level selection and effects are given. The article concludes with the Nintendo hotline number and address for further assistance, embodying classic gaming support. Well, this guide explores the Nintendo 64 version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy, focusing on its various combat codes. These codes unlock secret characters like Chameleon, Motaro, and Shao Kahn, offering a cheat to play as bosses. The guide also features combat messages for humorous effects, such as "Babalities are reversible" and nonsensical phrases. Further codes allow access to classic arcade games like Galaga and Pong. Additionally, changed gameplay codes enable customization, with options like automatic combos, bloody combat, and unlimited run. The guide concludes with a tip for random character selection by highlighting Noob Saibot and pressing up and start. The guide reflects the era's obsession with secrets and cheat codes in gaming. This page of the Mortal Kombat Trilogy Player's Guide is proper handy if you are struggling to pull off those fancy moves. It's got sections dedicated to playing as Motaro and Shao Kahn. Remember all those playground rumors about unlocking bosses? Well, here's the official way, though only on certain backgrounds for Motaro. Cheeky. Then there's a bit on animalities. Those transformations at the end of a fight a bit daft if you ask me, but they were all the rage at the time. The page then moves on to the proper fighter breakdowns, starting with Baraka and Johnny Cage. It lists their special moves, fatalities, animalities, friendships, babalities, pit fatalities, and brutalities. Blimey, that's a lot of ways to finish someone off, innit? Heh. There's also a combat key, explaining all the button presses, because back then you didn't have online tutorials, you had to rely on this sort of thing. It's like a proper old school move list, just what you needed when your mate was round and you were trying to show off. Right at the bottom it says all tips verified by the Nintendo hotline, and gives a phone number. Imagine calling them up for tips these days. Mental. Still, this page is a proper slice of 90s gaming, all about cheat codes and move lists from the official UK Nintendo magazine no less. Good times. This page carries on with the Mortal Kombat 3 tips, and this time it's all about Classic Sub-Zero, Cyrax and Ermac. Remember Classic Sub-Zero? Bit of a throwback that was, compared to the newer version. Anyway, for each character, they've laid out all their special moves. Fatalities, blimey. There's loads of them. Animalities, friendships, babalities, pit fatalities, and brutalities. It's a right proper list for each fighter, detailing how to pull off all those gruesome finishes and, friendlier ones. They've got screenshots dotted around showing the moves in action, which is helpful, although back then you'd still be mashing buttons like mad to get them to work. Cyrax and Ermac are there too. Those ninjas were always a bit trickier to get your head around compared to old Sub-Zero, but this guide breaks down all their moves as well. It's all presented in that classic red and yellow style of the magazine, proper retro feel to it, showing you exactly what buttons to bash for each move. Good for settling arguments with your mates about who knew the best combos. This page continues the Mortal Kombat Trilogy Player's Guide, and we've moved on to Human Smoke, Kabal, and Kitana this time around. Again, they've gone all out with the move lists. For each character you get the full rundown. Special moves, fatalities, flipping heck, the fatalities in this game were something else, weren't they? GoldenEye. Then animalities, friendships, babalities, pit fatalities, brutalities, and even combos. It's a proper encyclopedia of moves to get your head around. You've got screenshots dotted around, showing each character in action, mid-fight, which is a nice touch. Human Smoke, looking all shadowy as ever, then Kabal with his hook swords looking menacing, and Kitana with her fans, always a bit of a fan favorite if you pardon the pun. They've listed out all the button presses for the combos and special moves, those classic Mortal Kombat button combos that you'd be trying to memorize and pull off on your mates. Good if you wanted to finally master these characters and show off a bit, or just stop getting battered by your mates who knew all the secret moves. Still brings back memories of arguing about whether you were doing it right or not, doesn't it? This Mortal Kombat Trilogy guide covers Kung Lao, Liu Kang and Milena, detailing their movesets. For each character, the guide includes special moves, fatalities, brutalities, and combos. Kung Lao's section highlights his hat throws, teleports, and hat-based fatalities. Liu Kang's guide covers his fireballs, flying kicks, and infamous red bicycle kick. Milena's entry features her scythe throws, warp kicks, and brutal fatalities. Each character's guide also includes their animalities, with Kung Lao transforming into a leopard, and Liu Kang performing a sweep. Milena's animality is described with an odd caption. The guide offers a comprehensive resource for mastering these Mortal Kombat Trilogy characters. This page of the Mortal Kombat Trilogy Player's Guide keeps the fatalities coming, this time focusing on Raiden, Scorpion and Sector. We've still got the usual breakdowns of special moves, fatalities, brutalities and combos for each character. Raiden, the God of Thunder, gets a good spread here. Lightning moves are predictably present, alongside his torpedo and teleport. His fatalities are properly gruesome, involving holding HP buttons for ages, which we all remember doing, controller in hand, hoping we got the timing right. Friendship and babality moves are also listed, a bit of light relief in amongst all the gore, I suppose. Next up is Scorpion, the undead ninja. Spear, teleport punch, and air throw are his special moves. His fatalities are as nasty as you'd expect, including the classic skull-burning one. Brutality and combo sections are there as well, showing off some decent damage percentages for stringing together button presses. Warrincha. Finally, we have Sector, the cyborg ninja. Missiles and teleport uppercut are his staples, naturally. His fatalities involve flamethrowers and compactors, very robotic. Again, brutalities and combos are listed to help players get the upper hand. Quave. It's all very systematic, this guide. Good for quickly looking up a move or fatality when you're stuck. It's a reminder of how complicated these games could get back then, trying to memorize all these button combinations. Still, good times, eh? This guide covers 3 Mortal Kombat Trilogy characters, Shiva, Sindel, and Smoke. Shiva, the Shokan warrior, utilizes moves like teleport, stomp and fireball, with brutal fatalities including stomping and arm ripping. Sindel, the Banshee Queen, specializes in projectile attacks such as fireballs and her signature scream, featuring gruesome fatalities centered around hair and screams. Smoke, the ninja, employs moves like the spear and teleport uppercut, along with invisibility. His fatalities involve bombs and smoke. Each character guide includes special moves, fatalities, brutalities, combos, and the full suite of finishing moves, animalities, friendships, and babalities. The text also jokingly criticizes Smoke's animality. This Mortal Kombat Trilogy guide delves into the game's formidable characters. Shang Tsung's expansive moveset, featuring shape-shifting into various characters like Baraka and Johnny Cage, is highlighted. His signature fireballs, volcanic eruptions, and finishing moves, fatalities, friendships, etc., are also detailed, including combos. Next, the guide covers Shao Kahn, the imposing final boss, focusing on his hammer, fireball, and shoulder charge. Motaro, the centaur sub-boss, is featured next, with his grab, smash, teleport and sweep moves. Finally, the guide introduces Chameleon, a chameleon ninja whose attacks change based on her energy bar color, including boomerangs and sai throws. This page promises a challenge for players trying to master these complex characters. Warrington Dog. The Nintendo Tips Center revisits Donkey Kong Country on the SNES, offering secrets for players still enjoying the classic platformer. They highlight hidden areas in several levels. In Congo Jungle's Barrel Cannon Canyon, bounce off a Neki to find a secret room. Monkey Mine's Stop and Go Station requires a tire roll. Millstone Mayhem features a cannon pit and a TNT drum secret. Vine Valley's Tree Top Town uses a moving barrel cannon. Orangutan Gang offers a bonus game cannon and an espresso ostrich trick. The tips, verified on the Nintendo hotline, aim to help players navigate the game's hidden challenges. This guide delves into secrets within several Donkey Kong Country levels: Gorilla Glacier, Kremrock Industries Inc., Oil Drum Alley, Blackout Basement, Chimp Caverns, and Tanked Up Trouble. Gorilla Glacier's secret utilizes a barrel to bypass an enemy. Oil Drum Alley features 2 secrets, one involving a TNT barrel, and another requiring platforming with a steel keg. Blackout Basement has 2 secrets, with the second requiring the first to be accessed. Chimp Caverns and Tanked Up Trouble contain a secret reached by platforming and cannon usage. The guide also provides basic boss information, advising players to eliminate enemies before attacking bosses, and includes a "Help! I'm stuck!" section with the Nintendo hotline number. This article, reminiscent of a late 90s Nintendo magazine, presents 5 challenges for readers. Super Metroid on the SNES requires a speedrun and end-screen photo. Super Mario 64 challenges players to blitz Princess Daisy's secret slide and provide a photo. Mario Kart 64 on the N64 involves a Royal Raceway time trial, with results photos needed. Killer Instinct Gold focuses on combo mastery and a photo of your score. Finally, ISS 64, International Superstar Soccer 64, asks players to win a match with Japan against Brazil. All entries, including photos, must be submitted by September 26th for a chance to win a magazine subscription. The article includes tips for taking photos and a Nintendo hotline for assistance. This is a subscription advertisement for Nintendo magazine from 1997. The promotion offered a 12-month subscription with a free N64 carry bag, a 256 kilobytes memory card, and a £7.50 discount, totaling over £35 in value. Subscribers could pay by check, postal order, or phone with a credit card. The ad highlights benefits like GameStar accessories, getting 12 issues for the price of 9, free UK postage, exclusive N64 content, and a monthly tips book. However, the free gifts were limited to the first 60 subscribers using specific codes, and the offer expired on September 30, 1997. Sign-ups were done via a paper form, as online subscriptions weren't available. Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the N64 is reviewed, with the reviewer praising it as the first good ice hockey game for the console, accessible even to casual players. It's designed as an arcade-style experience, similar to NBA Jam, emphasizing over-the-top action. Features include brick wall goalies, speed boost, and flaming nets after goals. Go action. The game is a 4-on-4 setup with an exhibition mode. Information provided includes GT Interactive as the publisher, a £59.99 price tag, a September release, a 64 meg cart size, sports sim designation, 1 to 4 player support, and memory pack saving. The review suggests a fun, action-packed hockey game. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey for N64 is an arcade-style hockey game that surprisingly incorporates official rules and a larger rink size. Enhanced goalies provide a tougher challenge. The game features a fight mechanic, allowing players to instigate brawls, though these are kept simple. A training mode covers offense, defense, and shooting. Multiplayer shines, especially in the 4-player competitive mode, using stars and circles to differentiate players. While acknowledging the common difficulty in defending, the review suggests Gretzky simplifies the process, with C-button controls for actions like tripping and body checking, and a speed boost. Finally, a one-on-one shooting mode against the goalie allows for practice. The review is generally positive, appreciating the blend of serious gameplay and light-hearted elements. On Your Guard explores defensive tactics in Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. Checking is the primary method, physically knocking opponents down to gain possession. Hooking involves getting behind an opponent to dislodge the puck but carries risk. Tripping is a more subtle approach, but too many trips can lead to digital fights. The game features an instant replay function with full camera control for analyzing plays, a novelty for the time. The article also criticizes the commentary, noting its repetitive nature, common in American sports games. This article reviews Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the N64. It explores the game's features, starting with 7 different camera angles, and highlights Wayne Gretzky's involvement in development, including his digitized skating and input on AI. The game includes hidden cheats, though details on how to access them are not provided. A comment from Sean White praises the game's accessibility and fun factor. The review concludes with a breakdown of scores, with high marks for graphics, sound, playability and lastability, resulting in an 84% overall rating. The article recommends the game to hockey fans and those seeking a quick sports simulation. 4B. NBA Hangtime for the N64, a fast-paced, arcade-style basketball game, is reviewed. Aimed at casual players, the game is all about dunking with no-rules gameplay. You select from 29 NBA teams and battle your way up to the Chicago Bulls. The review highlights a history with the game, with a 16-bit version having been approved by someone named Sean. The game's been a while in coming to the UK, but is considered worth the wait. The review shows various screenshots of gameplay. GameInfo describes it as a sports sim, though it leans more arcade. Features include multiplayer modes, a 64 meg cart size, and battery backup. Developed by Midway and published by GT Interactive, the release is scheduled for September, with the price still to be announced. This page delves deeper into NBA Hangtime, carrying on from the review we saw previously. It seems they're really pushing this create player feature, which back then was a bit of a novelty, wasn't it? They are saying it's a step up from the 16-bit version, letting you tweak your players to your heart's content, giving you an edge over the standard players. There's a breakdown of the create player menu showing options to mess with your player's head, uniform, attributes, and privileges. Privileges, eh? sounds a bit much. Things like no tag arrow, stealth turbo, and big head are listed, alongside stat boosts and the usual name and nickname stuff. So you can really make a right oddball if you fancy. Cheshire. They've also got a section called Dennis 2 Society, talking about Dennis Rodman, who was quite the character back then, wasn't he? And the game's roster, featuring NBA stars. They mention you can pick 5 players for your team from across the NBA. A screenshot shows the team selection screen with names like Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Dallas, and Denver listed. Looks like a decent selection of teams to get stuck into. There are more action shots dotted about too, showing off the gameplay. All in all, it's still pushing NBA hangtime and highlighting the customization and player options you've got, if that's your cup of tea. NBA Hangtime, also known as Boys N the Hoop, is shaping up to be a fast-paced, arcade-style basketball game. It emphasizes over-the-top action, including knocking opponents over and executing spectacular dunks reminiscent of NBA Jam. Key features include creatively designed courts, the skillful alley-hoop move requiring teamwork, and the Great Balls of Fire power-up, which boosts player abilities and allows for net destruction. A post-game trivia quiz tests basketball knowledge, rewarding correct answers with attribute points. Tiptonics offers coaching tips, focusing on court awareness and shooting techniques, providing gameplay depth. Overall, the game appears to be a fun arcade experience, with added strategic elements. The review Go Forth and Multiplay focuses on the NBA Hangtime game, highlighting its strong multiplayer aspect. The review praises the arcade-style fun, including turbo moves, slam dunks, and the competitive nature of playing with friends. Screenshots showcase the game's pixelated chaos with players like Scottie Pippen. The reviewer, Stephen Fulljames, acknowledges the N64 graphics aren't amazing, but the gameplay compensates. He specifically calls out the multiplayer experience. Breakdown and interest tables are present, followed by scores. Graphics at 65%, sound at 70%, playability at 85%, and lastability at 75%. The final overall score is 75%, concluding it's exciting despite not being a revolutionary step. Multi-Racing Championship, MRC, an arcade-style racer for the N64, is positioned as a standout title. The game, already released in Japan, features 3 courses with multiple routes and shortcuts across varied terrains like tarmac, ice, and riverbeds. The magazine highlights the game after panning other racing games. Players can choose from cars like the Galliant, a sponsored Japanese saloon, and the Meteora, a rally-inspired hatchback. MRC offers 1 to 2 player gameplay with versus multiplayer. The 64 meg kart saves championship progress, though there is no battery backup. Currently available in Japan, the price depends on the importer. Ointon also has meg car. The Multi-Racing Championship features 6 unique cars. The Ocean is a Ford Bronco built for aggressive driving. The Armstrong Dodge/V, a modified Suzuki Vitara, excels in mud and gravel. The Alfa Romeo GT-V4 is a road-focused, yet challenging, Italian sports car. The yellow Range Rover, Kingroader, boasts bouncy suspension, suitable for off-road and drag racing. The Verno Sturbo, a Renault 5 GT, is a quick, but challenging, pocket rocket. Finally, the Renault Megane Coupe, SHUAN Tigris, prioritizes top speed, ideal for strategic gameplay. Screenshots showcase in-game action, indicating a potentially engaging N64 racer. Kuguru. Multi-Racing Championship on the N64 features 3 routes per course, and a mirror mode, adding variety to the gameplay. The game includes 3 courses: Seaside, Easy, Mountain, Normal, and Downtown, Hard. Seaside offers a simple sunny coastal track with 2 off-road shortcuts. Mountain presents a snowy, rocky environment, featuring an ice section and 4 shortcuts. Downtown is described as challenging, with sharp bends, narrow streets, 4 normal shortcuts, and a hidden route, including a water shortcut. Overall, the courses offer varied environments and difficulty levels typical of the arcade racing genre, suggesting a decent multiplayer experience. Sure. This text preview highlights the track designs in Multi-Racing Championship for the N64. The Seaside course features a tarmac/off-road split, with the off-road path potentially offering a faster but riskier route. The Mountain course showcases bumpy terrain, power sliding techniques, and a dirt track section emphasizing jostling for position. The Downtown course emphasizes tight bends and solid building models, avoiding the dreaded pop-up common in older games. The preview also mentions the game's distance indicator and close road feature, which allows for custom route creation with shortcuts, offering track variations. The Seaside track alone has 9 track combinations, showcasing the game's depth beyond a simple arcade racer. This guide focuses on car customization in Multi-Racing Championship. The machine setting options allow adjustments to tires, brakes, suspension, steering, gears and aerodynamics. Off-road tires are recommended for corner cutting. Brakes are less critical due to power sliding. Suspension settings follow the typical hard/soft rule. Steering offers slow or quick responses. Gear ratios impact acceleration and top speed. Aerodynamics involves adjusting the rear wing angle for speed and balance. Jura. The guide also showcases gameplay through screenshots, depicting various track conditions, and a basic congratulations screen. The game emphasizes deep customization, allowing players to fine-tune almost every car component, enhancing the racing experience beyond a simple arcade style. This page reviews promotional material and a game review for Multi-Racing Championship on the N64. Imagineer gave away odd promotional items like tissues at the Tokyo Game Show, along with a time trial contest offering a glow-in-the-dark Game Boy as a prize. Gameplay screenshots reveal issues like small play windows in versus mode and classic N64 fogging. Stephen Full-James' review, N64 VIUW, calls Multi-Racing Championship the best N64 road racer, praising its deep customization and numerous track combinations, despite acknowledging graphics comparable to the PlayStation. He emphasizes its longevity and recommends the game for N64 racing fans, concluding that it's a strong title despite its visual limitations. This review hypes up Dark Rift for the N64, positioning it as the solution to the console's perceived lack of quality beat-em-ups after titles like Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Comparing it favorably to classics on other platforms, the review attempts to generate excitement. The page includes information about the developer, Vic Tokai, and a fact box detailing the game. Dark Rift is a 1-to-2 player versus fighting game with a roster of 12 characters. It was released in the US and utilized a 64 meg cartridge with no battery backup or memory pack compatibility. The review also features screenshots showcasing the game's distinct character designs, highlighting characters with sharp edges and glowing elements. While the review aims to build anticipation, it's difficult to assess the game's quality based solely on the provided information. This article reviews Dark Rift, a fighting game with a storyline involving a master key and prime elements. Each character wields a weapon, resulting in flashy visuals similar to Soul Edge. The game emphasizes weapon-based combat with blocking and special effects. Screenshots showcase sharp polygons and bright colors typical of the era. The review highlights an unusual gender studies section, noting the ambiguous genders of some characters. Character bios for Aaron Maverick, a karate enthusiast with a pulse rifle, and Demonica Gracru, a 966-year-old Dark Dimension warrior with Hades' claws, are provided. The game also features pre-round camera pans. The review, from an official UK Nintendo magazine, suggests Dark Rift is a quirky fighter with interesting ideas. This page details the N64 fighting game Dark Rift, providing character bios and gameplay information. We learn about Eve, a fencer who enjoys shrimp-flavored sweets, Gore, a 23-year-old Highland warrior with a skull-crushing axe and a penchant for Choate sweets, and Morphix, a mysterious being from the light dimension with a unique fighting style and a fondness for glacier mints. The gameplay emphasizes combo strings and the use of the yellow C buttons for attacks and blocks. The game boasts reversals and body slams, claiming to be the most versatile fighter on the N64. A robust practice mode, similar to Killer Instinct Gold, allows players to review move lists, on-screen button prompts, and even view CPU demonstrations. Screenshots showcase the game's colorful visuals and combat mechanics. Dark Rift's preview introduces 3 new fighters: Nikki, a Farallon native using inverse kinematics, Scarlet Zerai, a dragon slayer from Hyperia, and the mysterious Zenmuron, skilled in ninjutsu. Gameplay highlights include 3D sidestepping, multi-explosion grenades, and throw moves with dynamic camera angles. A 64-view review calls Dark Rift the best N64 3D fighter, but with a caveat. The reviewer cites influences from other fighting games, praising the 60 FPS and combos but criticizing the gameplay's flow and the backgrounds. The overall assessment is that while Dark Rift might be the better option of two, it's not perfect, reflecting the limited 3D fighter options on the N64 at the time. WCW vs NWO World Tour, a wrestling simulation by THQ, was previewed for the N64, slated for a November '97 release. As one of the first wrestling games on the console, it aimed to capitalize on the popularity of WWF and WCW in America, despite the sport's waning popularity in the UK. The game promised a 4-player experience with tournament, versus, battle royal and tag team modes. Screenshots revealed blocky polygonal wrestlers, typical of early N64 graphics. Character selection screens featured wrestling icons like Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. The preview suggested a standard wrestling game hoping to ride the wave of wrestling fandom, leaving its quality to be determined upon release. WCW vs NWO World Tour boasts over 60 wrestlers, including legends like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and Randy Savage, with authentic movesets. The game emphasizes the rivalry between WCW good guys and the NWO bad guys, mimicking the real-world wrestling landscape. It also features other, potentially fictional, wrestling federations. The article covers basic wrestling gameplay. Pin your opponent after weakening them. The screenshots display typical N64-era graphics. The game aims to capitalize on the wrestling craze of the time, mirroring the real-life competition between WCW and the WWF. This WCW vs NWO World Tour game preview explores different aspects of wrestling. The first section, the good, the bad and the ugly, highlights wrestler versatility and the ability to manage a league with both heroic and villainous characters, exemplified by Hulk Hogan's career. The game also features a wrestler trading mechanic. In out, shake it all about, focuses on the dynamic rotating camera system, designed to enhance the viewing experience with zooming and panning. Finally, Back in the Good Old Days provides a nostalgic look at early 1980s British wrestling, mentioning figures like Giant Haystacks, Big Daddy, Shirley Crabtree, and Dickie Davies. The text recalls the shorter, more straightforward matches of the era and celebrates the British Bulldog's success. The preview aims to capture the essence of wrestling from multiple perspectives. This page focuses on WCW vs NWO World Tour for the N64. It details the process of obtaining championship belts, requiring players to defeat lower-ranked wrestlers to earn a title shot. Alternatively, players can create their own belts. The review covers the Rumble Pack support, promising controller vibrations during gameplay, although this wasn't fully tested. Screenshots showcase various wrestling moves, including Hulk Hogan. The reviewer notes that only 2-player mode was available. While graphics are considered decent, the reviewer feels the gameplay feels lacking, and the wrestlers amble around. They express hope for improvement in the full review, aiming for a truly great wrestling game. A picture of a wrestler resembling Sting is also featured. This is a preview of Mace, the Dark Age for the N64, anticipating whether it can succeed as a beat-em-up on the console. Set in 1273 AD, the game features warriors and dark magic. It's an arcade conversion by Midway, which was always a gamble back then. The game boasts 10 playable characters at the start, with familiar archetypes like a blind warrior monk and a Viking. Bosses and hidden characters are also present. Screenshots showcase characters like Koyasha and Lord Daimos, highlighting projectile attacks like shurikens and tornadoes. The visuals seem promising with impressive special effects. The preview is cautiously optimistic about the game's quality, leaving its ultimate success to be determined. This article previews Mace, the Dark Age, focusing on its 3D fighting arenas and comparisons to other fighting games. The arenas featured dodging and varying heights, with hazards like toxic sludge. The game, initially for the Jaguar, is cheekily referred to as a 64-bit waste of space. Mace aims to compete with Soul Edge and Mortal Kombat, boasting quick moves, a dodge button, executions, and 8-hit combos. The preview highlights the game's potential, referencing its visuals like weapon trails, special effects, and victory poses. Screenshots showcase multi-level stages, height differences between characters, and a Japanese character Tiff. The author expresses cautious optimism, with the hope that Mace will be better than games like War Gods. This page is a right blast from the past, isn't it? It's a full-page advert for a Twix competition, Junior Games Player of the Year, and it's all tied in with Mario Kart 64. Classic late 90s stuff, right there. So basically you had to eat 5 Twix bars, not a hardship mind you, and send in the wrappers, along with an entry form from the page, telling them your best time on Koopa Troopa Beach in time trials. Koopa Troopa Beach, everyone rinsed that track, didn't they? They were looking for the 7 fastest players to go to the Virgin Megastore on Oxford Street for some kind of final on October 25, 1997. Big day out in London for some lucky kids, Ingrid. The prizes were pretty decent too. A grand's worth of Nintendo games, a year's supply of Twix, and £100 in Virgin vouchers. Virgin Megastore vouchers, remember them? You could get anything in there back then, not just music. And some MechWarrior 2 jackets and boxes of Twix, thrown in for good measure. MechWarrior jackets, that's a bit random, but hey, it was the 90s. It's all a bit of fun, really, and a clever way for Twix to get kids to buy loads of chocolate and play Mario Kart. Simple times, simple pleasures. Just get your Koopa Troopa Beach time down and post off your wrappers. Good luck to anyone who entered back then, probably forgotten all about it now. This page then, is a bit of an oddity, isn't it? It's a letter, a proper old-fashioned type letter, to Tizer, the fizzy drinks people. Seems like a chap called Albert Snedden is having a right moan. He's complaining because his nephew took a photo of him and his wife, supposed to be for a photo album for Christmas, bless him. Turns out this photo has somehow ended up on the chart show and in Tizer adverts. Bit of a leap from Family Snap to national telly, eh? Poor Albert's not happy, says it's been absolute hell, and he's mortified by how they look. He reckons they're making them look a bit dull, boring perhaps. He even mentions some telly program called Refresh Our Heads, and something about flabby buttocks of a sumo wrestler. Sounds a bit grim if you ask me. Then there's a bit about his wife having a bad time at the hairdressers, and something about chemical toilets at a caravan club, AGM. Blimey, it's all going off for Albert and his missus. He finishes off by demanding an apology, dated June 1997 it is, so just before all this N64 madness really took off. Strange thing to find in a gaming mag, but there you go. And there's a picture of Albert and his wife looking perfectly normal in their armchairs. I don't know what all the fuss is about really. This Club Mario letters page from a bygone era offers a glimpse into gaming fandom's past. One letter ponders a unified console, a concept quickly dismissed due to corporate greed. Another disputes the magazine's dismissal of PlayStation and Saturn, highlighting their technical limitations compared to the N64. The magazine responds with fervent Nintendo fanboyism, prioritizing soul and personality over raw power. The most intriguing letter reveals the Nintendo-Sony collaboration on a Super NES CD-ROM, later dissolved due to licensing disagreements, foreshadowing future tensions. Prizes for letter writers included N64 memory cards. A World of Nintendo section encouraged brand engagement by spotting Nintendo-themed locations. This page captures the passionate, sometimes naive, spirit of early console wars and the enduring power of nostalgia. This month's letters section features reader opinions on various topics. Rubberman highlights the lasting appeal of Super Mario 64, while another reader is confused about changes in Clay Fighter 63 and a third screenshots. A reader complains about premature sequel announcements for N64 games, specifically mentioning Duke Nukem 3D, which the magazine correctly predicts will be successful. A Leave Nintendo Alone letter defends the N64, highlighting its potential and anticipating games like Banjo-Kazooie. Another letter humorously describes a near-console disaster involving a vacuum cleaner. Finally, the picture of the month showcases reader art and offers a Turok prize. Overall, the section provides a snapshot of gamer thoughts and magazine hype from that era. This magazine issue features a Kung Fu fighting game idea, a Donkey Kong beat-em-up with characters like Donkey, Diddy, and Cranky battling K. Rool. A reader defends the N64 price cut, expressing pride in purchasing his console at launch. A Mario Kart mystery reveals an early screenshot with Kamek on Choco Mountain, likely from a character testing phase. A Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire 2 image with Boba Fett is also present. The FAQ section announces upcoming Game Boy titles like Donkey Kong Land 3 and Wario Land 2. It notes that 3D RPGs might be shorter and previews SNES games, including Kirby 3. The section also discusses the possibility of a new 3D Killer Instinct and a Super Mario 64 sequel starring Luigi, based on Japanese rumors. Lastly, the magazine confirms an Easter egg in Donkey Kong Country 3, referencing Super Mario 64's theme music. This magazine page features a mix of reader content. A letter writer laments the lack of arcade beat-em-up conversions on the N64, while the magazine notes Nintendo's focus on original console experiences and teases potential 64DD releases. Another reader praises their N64, despite its initial cost. a Name That Game quiz challenges readers, followed by reader-submitted art. The C-Mail advice column, run by Seal, provides sarcastic responses to a reader's paranoid concerns about Simon Clays, and offers humorous advice for dealing with him. Seal dismisses outlandish suggestions for getting rid of Simon. Finally, a bizarre comic strip details how to eliminate someone called Claypots. Magic Century L-Tale, also known as Quest 64 in the US, is being developed by Imagineer. The article discusses an early version, highlighting its potential to fill the void of N64 RPGs, given the long waits for titles like Zelda 64 and Mother 3. They are currently looking for a European publisher, and the title may change in the UK. The preview showcases colourful, albeit blocky, 3D environments featuring villages and outdoor areas, emphasizing the game's impressive draw distance without pop-in or fogging. The article mentions the game's attempt to show off its impressive view distance, with a box that brags about it. The article also notes a silly joke that is present in the game. The overall tone suggests cautious optimism for Magic Century L-Tale, but acknowledges it's still early in development. This text reviews Magic Century L-Tale, Quest 64. The article discusses the game's villagers, comparing their design to Asterix characters, highlighting their chunky but charming appearance and noting they provide crucial information. The camera system, titled Angles of Doom, is criticized for potential issues with the player getting lost, though the 2 zoom levels and impressive draw distance are praised. Finally, the review covers the elemental magic system: fire, air, water, and earth. Each element has distinct attacks, with descriptions emphasizing their over-the-top nature. Overall, the review suggests the game is promising despite being in early development. N64. Site reviews Quest 64, highlighting features presented as innovative. In the Sack, describes the standard inventory screen, displaying items, magic elements, and level. Days of Our Lives focuses on the game's real-time clock, which influences lighting and potentially villager behavior, with the reviewer noting it as ambitious for the N64. A Roof Over Your Head discusses the ability to enter buildings, finding characters and items inside, a common RPG element. The reviewer finds the described features standard fare for the genre, though the article presents them as major breakthroughs. The screenshots show inventory, day/night cycles, and building interiors, suggesting a decent but conventional RPG experience. This article previews the N64 game, initially known as Magic Century L-Tale, later just Castlevania. The Castles of My Mind section highlights the game's impressive castle design, comparing them to Mario 64 in scale and detail, promising varied environments like throne rooms and courtyards. Battle Mode Engage details real-time combat in villages with random enemy encounters. Damage numbers reminiscent of old RPGs are mentioned. Screenshots show action including a dodgy bridge with potential enemies, an apparent experience point notification, up, and a humorous scene of a sliding tackle. Enemy types include turtle-like creatures, hopping foes, and black wolves, suggesting frequent multi-directional combat. Character portraits of Koji and Nina are also shown. Overall, it appears to be a standard action RPG for the N64, with the hope that it offers more than just castles and battles. Bomberman 64, highly anticipated for the N64, is teased with new screenshots and gameplay features. The single-player mode includes 5 unique stages, moving beyond the classic bomb and run gameplay. Now Bomberman can knock enemies unconscious and throw them. The article previews 2 worlds: Red Mountain, a fiery lava level with armored truck enemies, and Green Garden, a maze-like field with pyramids. New enemies include Spriggan, a powerful bruiser with multiple attacks, and Drago, a fire-breathing dragon with a unique attack pattern. The game promises standard boss battles, but in a 3D Bomberman experience on the N64. This article previews Bomberman 64, highlighting diverse environments and gameplay features. Players will navigate stages like Blue Resort, a beach-themed level with dangers, and White Ice, a treacherous, icy world. Black City presents a frantic, robotic-filled environment. Boss battles are emphasized, with Levia, Ripper, and the formidable Absolute. Defeating Absolute may unlock a new villain. The game also features a battle mode, Run for Your Life, with dynamic circular explosions and both classic and new arena stages. A new character, Sirius, is teased, adding mystery to the game. The article suggests Bomberman 64 aims to successfully transition the franchise into 3D on the N64. Donkey Kong Land 3, a Game Boy platformer from Nintendo, is previewed. The game, based on Donkey Kong Country 3, features 36 new levels, each with 2 bonus rooms, and a redesigned map. Dixie Kong returns, joined by newcomer Kiddy Kong, to battle the Kremlings, Jututu. The gameplay mirrors previous DK adventures with familiar platforming elements. Dixie uses her hair to attack and glide, while Kiddy utilizes his size and strength. Screenshots showcase both characters in action, traversing levels with ropes and barrels. The game promises a solid handheld adventure, offering a fresh experience while staying true to the classic Donkey Kong formula. Donkey Kong Land 3 for Game Boy features familiar platforming elements like bananas, KONG letters, and coins, with animal buddies returning. Bosses from the SNES games reappear with new, challenging attack patterns. A time attack mode, accessible after beating the final boss, offers 10 levels with star barrels removed for added difficulty. A card game in the village shop leads to a secret final boss. The article also includes trivia, such as Donkey Kong's original inspiration being King Kong and the game nearly being a Mario title. A free compilation CD, Go Ape, included a track by Oasis. The reviewers' first impressions are highly positive, calling Donkey Kong Land 3 a much-needed title for the Game Boy. Despite playing an unfinished version, they predict it will be the best Game Boy game yet, with new levels and bonus games, potentially revitalizing the handheld. Get ready for a massive September issue. This month's big news is Quake on the N64, with a first official PLAYTEST announced. The issue teases a moody screenshot and promises a deep dive into the PC shooter's console debut. EFI also featured are San Francisco Rush, Wheat Tricks, a surreal 64-bit puzzler, and another nod to GoldenEye, now making waves in the States. Inside, expect a tips avalanche, over 16 pages of game tips, and a free guide. The magazine, UK's only official Nintendo mag, also previews Gomon 5, Tetrisphere, and NFL Quarterback Club. The issue drops on September 20th. This page showcases Blast Corps, and blimey, it's all about causing absolute carnage. Drivers wanted? Yeah, for blowing stuff up it looks like. We've got this massive truck thing called Backlash H, smashing right through a building in a fiery explosion, classic 90s over-the-top action. There are some robots hanging about too, looking like they're enjoying the demolition derby. The text tells us, the clock is ticking, so it must be urgent smashing. You get to drive 15 different vehicles apparently, from an agile Skyfall buggy to the awesome power of Backlash itself. Sounds like your job as a Blast Corps member is to destroy everything in your path, a hard-hitting, block-busting, demolition mission. Pretty straightforward then, not exactly Shakespeare is it? Down the side, there's the usual N64 tech boasts, 64-bit power, 94 MHz speed, 3D environment, stereo sound, memory pack. Standard stuff for the time, but they had to remind us how cutting-edge it all was back then. And of course it's from Rareware. They were the kings of the N64 back then, weren't they? Everything they touched seemed to turn to gold. Well, mostly. Blast Corps, I remember it being a bit different. Not your typical platformer or shooter, but certainly had that rare polish to it. This page is a bit of a curveball, isn't it? We've gone from blowing stuff up in Blast Corps to Gorrington New Focus. Face wash. Yep, Clearasil. Looks like it's an advert for their complete face wash. Spots? Try this, it says, claiming to be 5 times better than soap, and dead simple. One of the lads is saying, it sounds a bit like you, to the other one, presumably because he's got spots. Right then, back to the games next page hopefully.